think we want to talk about how we get our clients to do homework.
Oh my
In between
gosh.
sessions, right?
Clinicians are always asking us, right?
Yeah.
They're always asking us. They say, that's all well and good, but I can't get my clients to do their homework. It's impossible. They won't do it. Do you have problems with that?
Well, no. A lot of it has to do with how I socialize a client from the very beginning, why it's so important.
Right.
And I think homework can be like a negative connotation buzzword, so maybe we even change the language that we use. But my daughter uses the word challenges instead of exposures, right? But homework involves more than just exposure or challenges. Homework involves all kinds of things. Sometimes I'll give my client a video to watch or a chapter from a book to read,
right,
or to interview some of the people in their family about how they respond or something like that. But in the very beginning, I'm socializing my clients on the only way your amygdala is going to learn, right, is if you practice these things consistently, intensely, and frequently. So doing it just with me in session isn't enough.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
We can't meet with them long enough times. We need to have them do it on their own. And besides that, we need to have them take what they've learned, try it out, and bring us back problems. Because otherwise, how are we supposed to help them with what is going on in their actual life?
Yeah.
So to me, really having our clients understand the rationale for it is one of the big parts. And like you say, socializing people from the beginning that cognitive behavioral therapy involves homework.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of it. That's part of why it's actually so durable, is because we're not just doing it for our clients or with our clients, they're doing it on their own and then bringing it back so that we can help them tailor it and tweak it. And I think putting it in all those contexts makes it a lot more palatable for people.
We were talking about, so how do we get our clients to do it? And so another word you can use is practice, right? But I think when you think of yourself, how do you get stuff done that you don't want to do, right? So I really encourage my clients to write it down. Elizabeth and I talk about using a notebook throughout these videos. When we're at the end of a session and we're identifying what their practice is going to be or what resources they're going to go watch or listen to in between our sessions, they're going to write it in their notebook. They're going to put it in their phone. I might put it on a sticky note and have them plaster it to their car windshield or their mirror in their bathroom. Because when it's in black and white and they've written it down and they have to see it, they're much more likely to engage in it. That's one of my thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. But I think it's also really important to set homework goals that are realistic and that the client is buying into.
Yeah.
So the homework is not something that we have to, as clinicians, come into a session and have an idea of what's going to be the perfect homework assignment. It doesn't work like that. It grows organically out of what are we hearing from our client in that session about what's going on for them now. And together we're brainstorming and coming up with what is the difficulty and what do you need more practice in. We all know that to get better at a musical instrument or a sport, we have to practice. And it's the same thing with anxiety. We need to strengthen our anxiety muscles, so to speak. And so it becomes obvious in the course of the session, what is it the client wants? Now, sometimes we'll have an idea of an exposure that our client thinks is too hard. That happens, and that's fine. I love to have my clients say to me, oh my gosh, Elizabeth, then we can either do it together with them in the session to give them some added support with it, or we can try to scale it back. Because what we want to do is we want to hit the sweet spot where it's a homework assignment that the client is actually willing to take on and do on their own. Not something that's too easy, but also not something that's too hard, especially not at the beginning, because you really want your client to have that early success with doing the homework.
I have a great example of this. I have a client with panic disorder and agoraphobia, and so we've been working on her driving, just even on a road, and we've been working on this for a while, and her mom typically, she's a young adult, and her mom takes her to my sessions, and so last week her mom wasn't able to go. She had a different appointment that she had to attend to, and so my client, her immediate response was, I guess we'll have to cancel, or can we just do a virtual session? When typically when she's at my office, her and I are practicing driving together. And so I just said, that's interesting that your initial thing is avoidance, right? And let's just look at those patterns again. And so what do you think you could do? And she said, I just don't even know. And I said, well, would you be willing to meet me somewhere halfway or in your town? Because we live 2 towns apart. And she said, well, I could consider that maybe. And so I said, well, what would you need to actually get in the car and just start driving? And then we can be on the cell phone together. And she said, well, I could at least start driving. Okay, we can get you that far. Well, long story short, we were able to meet at a parking lot, and she was very, very proud of herself. And then I said to her, hey, would you be willing willing to continue our session and drive in your car and follow me into where my office is? And she was feeling more confident there. And so we did do that, and we just happened to get to Lake Erie when the sun was setting. It was the best reward ever.
Yes.
And then she said to me, when we started, I didn't think I could even get in the car. And now I want to come to Lake Erie every day after work and see the sunset.
Wow.
So my point, you were saying organic.
Right.
Like if I had said to her, hey, this is going to be your goal and you're going to practice every day driving to Lake Erie and seeing the sunset, it would have been a no-go.
No.
But it came organically out of the work we were doing together. So I think that was an important point.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's an important point. I think we also want to talk about the fact that the effort, the success is in the trying. So it would have been, see how she felt she couldn't do the whole thing, but you've said, okay, let's start with that part. And even if she had started with that point and it hadn't had the whole beautiful resolution, that still would have been a success.
And we would have totally, and I said that to her, by the way, as well. I said, so then we could challenge you to go further, but if all you do is you met me here, that is a win. Right.
And what you're doing here is you're doing a high five.
I am.
Because what do we do for our clients when they tell us about their homework successes?
We celebrate.
And how do we talk about homework with our clients, but at the beginning of the session?
Yeah.
Because if you want your client to do homework, ask them about it at the next session. Because if you don't ask them about it, like any student, they're going to be like, well, they're not going to really ask about it, so might as well not do it. So make sure that you ask about it. Make sure you've written down what your client and you agreed that they were going to work on, and you ask them about it the next time, and give them so much credit for the effort that they've put into it. It's not about doing it perfectly. It's about making that effort. And people love that because they start to see these successes.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many clients I have that have been to many therapists before they get to me who say, I love this because there's actual action items. There's things that I have to do, and you check in with me, and we celebrate together. And we always say, like you said, success is in the trying. I need people to struggle with their treatment because it helps me understand how their anxiety convinces them to listen to them. So as long as they've tried to do it, even if they weren't able to complete it, that gives us information at our next session. So you can just see the importance of homework, and it's really non-negotiable. People who come to see us, we socialize them, there will be homework. It's an expectation. We check in with them at the very beginning of the next session, and it's just part of how we roll.